Welcome back, everyone, to the Who Do You Like Here podcast. Joey C-Note and the Kid. Took a little hiatus last week, but coming back, first episode since the Breeders' Cup. We're going to touch base a little bit on those 2 days of championship racing, and then we get into some handicapping for this week. Kid, how you doing?
I am good. I am doing well. How are you?
Better. Doing better. Out of it for a handful of days, but back for the challenge here to handicap some races. Breeders' Cup, since it has been a week since we missed last week. Overall consensus from you, grade yourself for the Breeders' Cup.
Myself, F.
I wouldn't give it that bad.
I think I had one. I called one race correctly. Other than that, I was pretty much as far as can be from what was actually happening. So overall, it was fun to watch good racing, but I did not do well on Breeders'
I'll say
Cup.
Friday we did bad. Friday it was tough.
Friday was the only day I had the winner. Yeah.
Friday was, to me, in my mind, Friday was really worse. It was as unpredictable as the juvenile days do go, and especially in the first two races. Got some big prices and some great payouts on those earlier races. Magnum Force winning the turf sprint. Immersive made a little sense in the juvenile fillies. That was one of my tops. I know that. Lake Victoria, another one that you probably could see fitting the bill for the fillies turf. Citizen Bull in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile was touted on a lot of other podcasts, and I know in a lot of the DRFs. Totally off my radar and at a hell of a price. Of course, Baffert horse. You figured Baffert was going to take one of those, and that was a nice price on a horse that I was completely off, but a lot of touts were on. And then
He
Henry
almost had the Baffert try. He just missed out on the try.
Right.
Top three.
Yeah, he did have top two in that race, though.
Yeah,
right?
top two. Yeah.
Yeah.
First
So
and second.
I guess you kind of figured one of those races were going to pop up for Baffert. He was going to have his day at Del Mar. And then completing on the Friday was the juvenile turf, Henry Matisse. That one made sense. That was when Ryan Moore finally actually kind of like got the win on. I know that you were big on a lot of his earlier mounts on Friday.
All of them. Yeah, I think every single one of them.
And the one that you didn't take is the one he wins on, right? Go figure. So just not a great day as far as Friday on the returns on the investment. Saturday was a little bit of a different turn of events. We start off with Soul of an Angel, which I know that Barry Sniper Spears, I think that was his top pick. Like the horse underneath, didn't see it winning, but won that one pretty handily, actually. Starlust in the turf sprint. That's another UK horse coming over. That was for Ryan Rasa. That was actually a great win too. Didn't have that one in my top picks as well. And then everybody and their grandmother had Torpeda Anna, probably one of the most convincing wins of the day. Pretty much knew she was going to win that race, and very much did so handily. Should get all the accolades for the year. Just the best 3-year-old all around. Rebels Romance in the turf. One that we talked about, bounced back and forth. Maybe, I think, would you say top pick from most bettors? Looked at it to be top.
Probably, if not.
I would bet.
Yeah, I would say top pick probably.
So kind of a figure to win that race. Then you run the Classic, which was in the middle of the races as usual. Now that they're doing that gimmick, but Sierra Leone, that was a nice convincing win. That one felt good. We talked about that one over a period of time. Sierra Leone just missed a lot of races, and that pace setup was exactly what Sierra Leone needed to gobble up the ground there and finally get a big win in the Classic. So I was happy for the connections there. For Chad Brown, and then the filly and Mare Turf, Moira, that was a nice price. We had the pick 3 going with 3 horses in that race because we did key. I did key Sierra Leone in the second spot. So we had all top 3, Moira being one of the better prices for the pick 3, and so that paid out pretty good. And then we also had that carrying on for the next races. Did not have Straight No Chaser, Dan Blacker.
Nope.
Not one that I thought Johnny V was going to be able to win with in the mounts that he had, and that one was a surprise for me. I'm sure there's some people out there that thought there was better opportunity. More Than Looks, big win there in the Cup Mile for Sherry DeVoe. Just a great year all around for Sherry. She's just really, her barns really clicked this year. Really had a great a couple meets. Just really, really strong barn. It's nice to see her get a win, and it was a nice tribute also to Cannon Shell. If you follow racing, and his passing away there, one of Barry's best friends. Actually worked. Sherry worked underneath him and gave a nice tribute in her speech after the win with More Than Luck. So that was a really nice moment for the Breeders' Cup too. And then, man, really thought we had this late pick 4. I thought we had it solid, but Full Serrano wins the last race. Joel Rosario didn't have that on my radar either for John Saylor in that one. That one pretty much closed the books out. It's getting profitable for the 2 days because we did have some good prices going in that race. So
yeah.
Overall grade, yeah, I'd probably honestly between the two of us, I'd probably say we're at about a C. We're in the mix on a lot. Just weren't getting the top picks, especially on Friday. So that was good.
Yeah, it was good racing overall, though. I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't a shit show like we've seen before. I think one horse did break through the gate, which I think everybody had flashbacks of the last time. But then I think the horse still ran too. I think the horse, they let the
right back in,
still,
ran, and I think broke out on top too. So keyed up.
Yeah.
But at least there was nothing. I don't want to say there was nothing of traumatics out there, but I know they had some situations throughout the day. I think there was one issue early in the day. I don't know if it was Friday or Saturday, but there's never a racing day that's publicized nationwide that doesn't get a blemish. Something has to happen in these races. But Breeders' Cup, we look forward to it every year, and it goes by so fast,
Yeah, it's quick.
Yeah, but Saturday was a lot more fun. We got together on Saturday to actually watch all the races, and definitely started cashing some tickets. So it's always better. It's always more fun when you're cashing tickets. It's not so much fun when you're losing out. But there were some great prices. You could definitely got paid this year on your Breeders' Cup. Then we took last week off, and now we're coming in fresh eyes, I guess, coming into Churchill for this Saturday card. Did you get a chance to look at the full card, the earlier races as well?
I did not look at the earlier races. I only looked at the late pick 5.
Just for handicap
here, but yeah.
What's your thoughts
on the late pick 5?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. I don't think it's going to be a very favorite driven pick 5. I think we're going to see some decent prices. But anytime I have that feeling, it typically ends up being like the shortest price you could possibly have for a pick 5. So maybe take what I say with a grain of salt. But I feel like there are some decent prices, and you got some jockeys that are coming from different tracks that are there this weekend. So I think that's an interesting take on here as well, right? So I don't think it's going to be the Tyler show all weekend. Maybe it is, and I'll be completely wrong on most races. But
I don't think so. I think
there's some decent prices out there this weekend.
But yeah, there's a lot of shippers. A lot of these horses coming in from Parks and Remington, and I mean just all over the country for this Churchill meet.
Yeah,
which I kind of find surprising that there's this many shippers. I didn't watch as much last week, obviously, with the off week, but I know it's been sloppy. Track's been really wet. Looks like it's gonna be dry the next couple of days, so hopefully it dries out. That track does get a little heavy, a little deep when it rains.
It's been raining all week.
It's not going to be too warm either, right? I mean, we're getting mid-50s.
Yeah.
So there's probably still some texture into the dirt. I don't know if they've been running on turf or not, or if they pulled the races off early in the week.
I think they ran on turf last weekend. I don't know if they ran on turf the last couple of days because of the rain. I would assume not because of the rain, but
yeah, I would assume that they pulled them off. I'm hoping that there's two here on the late pick 5 that are turf races. I hope they do keep those on. If they don't switch them, but pay attention to that in the weather and the conditions as we go into Saturday. Do you have anything else you want to throw out?
No, not really. Just kind of chugging along. Hopefully, get back in the win column here at Churchill, and then obviously Gulfstream is right around the corner. I mean, we're flirting with the best meet of the year here in the next couple of weeks. So
we swing through this right at the end of November, and then in December we go into the Gulfstream, and we'll be at Pegasus for and then we'll start doing the Derby preps again. Yep. So the cycle just keeps continuing.
Start to train all over.
That's right. If you want to just get right into it, we can go ahead and jump into the late pick 5 if you want. That sounds good to you?
Yep. Good.
Okay. So we're going to be doing races 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, late pick 5 at Churchill for Saturday. We're going to start race 7 off here. It's a mile. It's an allowance race, 12,500 with a purse of $100,000 for fillies and mares 3 years old and upwards, which have started for a claiming price of 12.5 or less in 23-24 campaign. I pretty much am all on the outside on this. I've got very minimal horses on the inside for some reason, but I'm going to drop with the 11 on top in this race as my top pick. Difficult race overall to go through, to be honest with you, but landing on the 11 for a couple reasons. Bejarano and Chris Hartman, I love the combination when they team up. Just seems like this is a horse that really has a key move, late move. Now we are stretching the distance here a little bit. We're going to the mile. Horse has been running 7 furlongs, ran a mile last time out, second by a nose, 88 speed figure. The horse has been running really good speed forms lately, 82, 83, 88, 93 four back. I'd say kind of lightly raced, I guess, 8 times over for the course of the year. Should be sitting mid-pack, and I'm expecting Bejarano to make a move somewhere on the turn and hopefully be able to take over the race and finish it out here after the 16th pole. So I'm taking the 11 on top. It'll be my top pick. Underneath, I do have the 4 on the inside, Savannah Marie. This is one that they started off on synthetic and then moved over to dirt, ran a turf race, and most of its best races that it's run so far in this campaign have been on dirt, and that's what you're going to find yourself here. The 7 furlongs, 3 back, not its best outing, I'll say that. So I think the longer distance does help when it runs a mile. It's pretty good on the distance. 5 times out the distance, 2 wins, 2 seconds. I like the way it ran last time. Edgar Morales is getting his second start with the horse for Alvarez. So I like the combination. Another one that should be sitting probably a little more farther back, probably not mid-pack, but a little bit off. But again, another one that's going to be moving late. I like the 7, Tennessee Moon. This should be your speed. This should be your horse to go out. This is the one that's shipping in from Arapahoe Park. This is where you're seeing Fauner Park horses. And don't know what to make on some of these shippers, but speed figures are really strong. 92, 94, 92, last 3 out, winning convincingly by 10, 13, and 7 in some of these low-grade stakes races and high allowance races. Running 6 furlongs, but last time run a mile on the 16th. I got this one kind of flashing and fading over the Churchill surface. Definitely has to go to the front and will be, but I think you're going to see a late fade here for Tennessee Moon. So I've got it underneath in this case instead of on top. I do like the 9 also, Mazoku. This one's stretching out a little bit. I just like the way this horse has been running, really good form. This one's shipping in from Ellis Park. Churchill, Keeneland, staying within the Kentucky field, so I do like that. Again, really not much not to like here. Horse breaks out well, should be well in contention, probably forwardly placed. That'll kind of tie up my exotics. But I'm going to take a chance with Hartman and Bejarano on top. I'll take the 11 and the 9 with the 4 and the 7.
Yeah, I had to go a little bit deeper in this one. Unfortunately, there's just too many horses that I see that are, I think, true players in this race. The one I landed on, I guess if I was throwing one on top, I probably would end up boxing in this race just because of how much I see in here.
Okay.
But I would probably put the 6 on top. Jeff Mullins, Raylu Gutierrez, a horse that's, was on the streak of 4 straight and ended up losing the last race, stepping up in class a little bit, obviously 50K open company. Is setting the fractions at a pretty consistent clip, right? 22.46 is pretty much what this horse does. Can you go even faster than that if they need to? Was one at Del Mar, Santa Anita. Now it's coming over to the Midwest to prove a point as well. For the last 5, each race has been pretty decisive. You can even chuck that last race at Santa Anita on the jockey. You got Edwin Maldonado, who is a good jockey, but he's not the top jockey in California. So I think you're getting a little bit of a step up here in terms of on jockey and who's riding them in this race. Raylu's going to put this horse exactly where they need to be. There's a ton of speed in this race. I thought this is one that can be near the front, but if they sit off and let the speed dial in front of them, maybe a stalking trip is going to win them, the race here. I think the 1 is very interesting as well. A horse coming off of 4 straight. It's Francisco Martinez from Michael Pino. This is a combination you see at parks all the time. Michael Pino has a ton of horses out there, and they all are very consistent. You can see the last 3 times that they've teamed up, they've gotten the job done. Again, I think the one thing is this horse is typically on the front. They're going to probably sit a stalking trip, let the true speed go on and go out and push forward. And they're stretching out a little bit, which also makes me think they're going to save a little bit of energy and a little bit of wind down the stretch. So I like the 1 underneath. I like that 7, like you said. That's the true speed in this race, like you mentioned, Tennessee Moon. A horse that's going to go out there and run a 21 and finish up with a 56 and 5 furlongs. That's blazing. It's cruising. I think that if this horse is actually going to go out to the front and set those fractions at a mile at Churchill, it might be a little bit too murderous. But if they go at like a 22, 23, unpressed because they think this horse is going to go. They might be really hard to catch, really hard, to track down at the end. But again, that's your true speed. It's always beneficial to be towards the front at Churchill, especially on the dirt. So I'm going to take a swing there. And then the other one I had is the 11, like you mentioned. It's Chris Hartman teaming up with Rafael Bejarano. Combination that's really come alive in the last, let's say 6 months to last year. When they team up, it used to be, I think it was Hartman and Mitchell Murrell. Now it's Hartman and Bejarano, where all his best horses are, typically ridden by Rafael. And every time he does do it, there's always really good success coming out of the barn. They last time out posted one of their highest speed figures in their career, second highest, and ended up just getting beat by a nose, by two other horses, right? So or tied with two other horses. So I think it's impressive. I think what you've seen on the form there is pretty impressive, and I think that horse is definitely worth another look too. So I'll have the 11 on there as well.
So I think we see the race the same way. Yeah, I know we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 different horses, but we see the race the same way. The lot of you're taking 3 speed with 1 closer. I'm taking 3 closers with 1 speed. So we definitely see that there's going to be a lot of speed in the race. I think it really just sets up for a closer.
Yeah,
sets up for on your end. Speed just dominates, and nobody's able to. The field doesn't come back to the field. So
yeah,
interesting that we both kind of see what we're seeing, and we went 2 different ways there. So a little bit of coverage in that first leg.
Yeah, pretty thick. I mean, it's one that I'm peeling back. Yeah, I'm peeling back horses. If I'm playing a pick 5, I'm peeling back horses in that race. After to cut my ticket down. I'm not. I'm gonna try to keep as many as I possibly can in that one.
Yeah, and we'll see where the odds start floating for that first leg, because I think you're going to see some of these prices shooting up, and I think your speeds are going to probably be you probably see more favorites that are speeds, lower prices that are front runners, surprisingly in a mile. Let's move on to the 8th race. 8th race is going to be a 5.5 furlong, so now we're going to go to this sprint on the turf. It's an allowance $25,000, purse of $150,000 for 3-year-olds and upwards, which have started for a claiming price $25,000 or less. I don't know if this, like I said, I don't know what the conditions are going to be. I hope they do stay on the turf for this race and the one later. If it comes off, I'd have to reassess probably the way I handicap the race overall. This one I'm going right to the rail. 1 Balsa. Here's a shipper in from Remington Park. Speed figures are just steadily improving here over the last 3. He had a dirt race and then 2 turf races back to back, dropping actually a little bit in class, considering that it's been running for 36 and 35, now dropping in for 25. You're getting Lindy Wade, who's been riding this horse pretty steadily for the last 4 times for Ronnie Cravens. I just think the distance fits well. I think the speed figures fit well. The times that you're looking at for where it should be sitting, it's going to be near the front. It won't be going to the front, but it has gone to the front. If you look back on July 4th, it did go ahead and wire the field of 8 that day. So the shippers, you never really know, but that workout here on November 6th, at Remington Park, 4 furlongs, 46 and 3. I think they're going to go ahead and go with this one. Should be near the front or at the front. So I'm going to take this tactical speed horse at the rail on top. I do like the 5 underneath, Final Verdict. This is Tyler and Edward Barker. This is one that's just been every step of the way has been there since they decided to kind of put this horse on the turf. It's been convincingly better, and the campaigns, for its 3-year-old to 4-year-old campaign has improved drastically since going strictly to turf. Speed figures, again, are pretty consistent, 86, 83, 90, 83, and 40, or 94. And the positioning is always right there. Tyler, when he rode him both times, had him very near the front, about a length off, and finished that 3rd by a half length and 1 by a length and a quarter. Both of those at optional claiming $35,000. So albeit we're stepping up to allowance $25,000, I still see the conditions and the distance, everything fitting well for Final Verdict. So definitely going to have the 5 in there. 5 could actually be even a top pick if the 1 doesn't set up the way it should, depending on the tactical trip. The 6 also, all jokes aside, I actually like this one. It's a little bit of a long shot for Saez. Really breaks well, is consistent, fights and battles all the way through. Hasn't really been worse than 6th, 3 back, and was sitting there in contention the whole way. And you're definitely getting a jockey upgrade here, and you're getting a little more distance, which I think bodes well from a stalking trip, not a speed trip, which I think is what you're going to get this time out. I think he's going to sit more on a stalking trip, just maybe with cover on the outside. And then last but not least, I'll go all the way to the outside for another price, Spycraft. That's the 11. That's Declan Cannon. Not great statistics here for the trainer from going from dirt to turf. However, the horse just fits well. The breeding suggests it should be okay on the turf. So it's kind of a wild card when we're switching services and we're also moving up in class. But the times that this horse has been able to stay with these other horses that it's ran against, it's been pretty consistent. It's been battling pretty strong. Workouts are mediocre, average at best. Like to see a little better on the workouts. That's why I've got it kind of the fourth, third position for the exotics. But Declan Kane's been riding this one pretty much consistently, except for one trip with Bejarano, where the horse finished up second at Churchill Downs. So say what you want. It's got a couple trips over the track before. It's won here at least one time. At 12-1, I do like it in the exotics underneath. So that'll put my exotics 1-5 at the 6-11.
I landed on the 7 here as my top choice. So Midday Image, Sammy Camacho Jr. riding for David Jacobson. David Jacobson has also established a connection. I saw it last weekend when I was watching a little bit. I think it was last weekend. I was watching a little bit of races, and they had a horse that I think I was looking at. Morning line was maybe 10-1, 8-1, somewhere around there. The horse was right around that odds when I looked at it. And then come post time, it was 9-2. So it dropped down way down. The horse is also out of the same breeding that it was. Was it
that CAW money?
Yeah, that late money just happened to kick in on the horse that won easily too, which is crazy. But what was the breed? Was it Torpedo Anna? Maybe the same breeding as Torpedo Anna? I can't remember. It had some crazy breeding, but looking at it, it looked like a monster right away, first time out, right? Like I said, floating up there, like 8-1 odds, right around there, and then drops down to 9-2. And so I was like, okay, that's crazy. But anyway, David Jacobson opted to Sammy Camacho Jr. here. This is a connection that, they've established when he has him on the back, that this is a live mount as well. This horse just finished up with its highest speed figure in its career, or tied its highest speed figure in its career. I was looking for a closer, somebody's going to be coming late. I think this horse, if you look all the way back to their last win, which you have to go all the way back to Laurel, in June 29th. This horse was 4 back, sat stalking kind of mid-pack, was able to close and ate up all the ground, ended up winning by almost 2 lengths. I think that's the type of trip that I want to see, especially on a race like this, short. It's a sprint on the turf. Everybody's going to go out there and try to wing it. Typically doesn't end well, especially on turf. You see these horses that come in late, just gobbling up all the ground. So this is what I was looking for. It kind of fit the bill for me. A horse that I've seen multiple times, even if you go back to, July 19th, this horse is 8 back and ended up finishing a length off. So definitely has got the turn of foot that I'm looking for. And I definitely see this horse getting the job done coming down the stretch late in the race there. So I like that horse. I like the one. I think you'd be crazy not to like it. It's constantly improving. Consistently improving on the speed figure front. Lindy Wade, like you said, has ridden this horse for the last 4 mounts and has gotten the job done the last 2. So they found the winning formula. This horse is going to sit off as well. It's going to be a closer. It's going to be sitting there stalking, ready to pounce. Training really, really well coming into the race. At 46-3, it's flying. And Lindy Wade, like I said, when you have a connection that you've established and you see that it's been working, you don't want to go off of it and you don't want to mess anything up. And that's what you're seeing in the 1 there. So I like the 1 a lot as well. And then I landed on the 5, like you said, final verdict. I think it'd be crazy to leave Tyler off in this race. Tyler is interesting. He's ridden this horse once before. He's gotten the job done right away. Definitely in softer class. This horse stepped up the last 2 races, went 1 for 2 with a hot riding Dylan Davis. So you're getting pretty much the same, hot riding Tyler Gaffney on aboard. I think it's interesting. I think Joe Sharp has a horse in this race as well. He's not opting for that mount. He's opting for the Edward Baker. So I think there's something to be said there. Obviously, this horse must mean a little bit here to Tyler. Must mean that he has got a lot underneath him. But I'm seeing Tyler win on dirt a lot more than I've seen him win on turf, in my opinion. I could be wrong. Somebody can correct me. But from what I've seen, he's not my favorite turf jockey at Churchill. So that's why I threw him underneath. I think he's going to be right there. I think he's going to be coming late. He's just going to sit stalking. He might even be on the pace. Who knows, depending if they want to do a tactic change. But it could be tactical any way they want. But I think they're just going to fall a little bit short in that race. So that's why I've got him in the 2nd spot.
Okay. It's funny because you keep your first pick is always the one that I had to take off because I can't have too many. You're looking for like a 21-43 quarter half for the 7. And if that happens, then the 7 definitely should be there. I just don't know if we're going to get those kind of fractions unless the 3 actually wings out there and Atras with Leperoux gets the gate open and starts flying. But the workouts show that they're going to try to keep this horse forwardly placed. So 21-43, then your 7 should be right there. It sets up for a big condition for the 7. I'm looking at it to be a little slower, and that's why I got to cross somebody off. It's always
You
Your
do.
first pick. I can't take too many. Let's go ahead and move on to the next race, ninth race. 7 furlongs. It's an allowance 16,000. Purse of 125,000. This is for 3-year-olds and upwards, which are started for a claiming price of 16,000 or less. I wouldn't say these races really get any easier as we go, but I'm going to go with the 8 Global Sensation. Just makes the most sense. Jaime Torres, Juan Cano. Listen, since they've teamed up, this horse has been just straight gunner ever since. Before sitting more tactically off, and this go around, this combination just says just go to the front. Speed figures have been really, really strong, staying within the 90s here, and just really good, strong rides, battling the whole way. You're not getting more than a half length to a length lead, and just maintaining it throughout the whole races. So I like where it's coming from. This should be your speed, should be forwardly placed. I think the 8 just makes the most sense out of anybody else in here. Could be just a wire-to-wire show. I don't know if it's really even going to be that contested. If it was to be contested, I would think the 7 would contest with it, who I also like a Salt Shaker. This is a horse that's kind of been on again, off again. This is the combination husband-wife, Vanderberg and Chris Emmy. When they have these horses, and I always like their horses, especially when we used to watch a lot of the horses at Arlington and in the Midwest and at Hawthorne. But a few of these that are shipped outside of Illinois, and when they get to Kentucky, there's a few of them that I really, really like. And this is one of them, that I think can be a strong contender. It's just the inconsistencies kind of worry me. So I'm looking for a stalking trip. I'm kind of looking for 3 back at Hawthorne. The horse has got 3 wins at Churchill Downs out of 7 attempts in 1 second, but not its favorite track, but it definitely should be in the mix. I just think it can go early and might be able to give the 8 a little trouble if it does try to press. But the 8 and the 8's my top. 7, I think, can go there possibly, and I don't think he can win the race, but I think he definitely give the 8 a hard time. I like the 10 too, stage left with Ramon Vasquez. That's another one that the speed figures are really strong. 91, 96, 92. He had one race where it stumbled and lost the jock and just kind of didn't have the race with Camacho, but looks like Ramon is going to get the mount again, second time back here after winning the last race. Even though the horse has been claimed, it's going to a different barn. It's coming from Jacobson and now going over to DeLong's barn, but he's still going to maintain the trip here and the opportunity. He's run this horse a few times, 2 wins. I think Ramon has a good opportunity on a nice stalking, pacing kind of a race. A little bit under the radar here for, I think, some of the batters early on. Hasn't done well at Churchill, but I think this horse is in condition to be in the mix, so I definitely got to have that on the ticket. And last but not least, I'm going to take a long shot with the 12, Anti-Gravity. This is Christian Torres. I like Christian Torres on priced horses lately. He wins with the short ones. He also wins with the long ones. But Dan Ward here, smaller barn, shipping in from Delmar and Monmouth is another one of these horses. You never know how it's going to fare when it gets out to Kentucky, but the workouts have been pretty good. October 23rd, 47-2, and then a 49 flat on November 12th. I just think that if the horse can sit a stalking trip, there's enough speed up front that it may come back to him. We'll see. Christian Torres, first time out for this horse. Going to be moving late. I think the cutback's going to help as well with the 12. But I'm looking at that really mainly for a price to try to make some of these exotics because everything else I like looks pretty chalky. So 8, 7, 10, 12.
I also landed on the 8. I think the 8 is much the best in this field. 3 for the last 4 over the surface at Churchill Downs. Fits the condition very well. It's, a good combination there. Horses, consistently in the 90 speed figure here over its last 5 races. So you're seeing the horse in its best form that's been ridden in its career. So I think there's something to be said there. Working out very consistent. Again, I like what I'm seeing on the form. I like what I'm seeing from a breeding perspective. Obviously, out of Into Mischief, it's pretty impressive. Pretty big breeding costs there, as well as obviously at the purchase price of $30K. So nothing crazy on the purchase price, but the breeding in itself is impressive. So I like what I'm seeing there. I think this horse is definitely the one to beat. They just lost last time out, barely missed. We could easily be looking at a horse that's won 5 straight. Yeah. So I landed on the 8. Everything you said and everything there. I had the 7 underneath as well. Obviously, Brittany Vandenberg and Chris Amy. A horse that has shown glimpses of really, really solid efforts and performances. I just don't know if they're going to be too, I don't even say outclassed, but I think that there's just a little bit too much in front of them. They very well could win the race. They won last weekend at, I think it was Laurel. I think they won on like a pretty hefty price, like a 30-1, something like that, something on a combination last weekend. So obviously the combination's there, and there's obviously a little bit more to the combination than your average jockey. So,
Right.
but I cannot let that fool me like it has many times before.
Yeah, I don't want to fall in that lull. I do the same
Yeah.
thing, But there's a few horses that I don't want to say tries harder. It just seems like this is one of those horses that, you got to give it. You got to look at it. You really got to handicap the race and see if it really does have a shot. I like to go to those horses a lot, and sometimes they don't pan out. But this is one I do think they have an opportunity with.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too. They can be very tactical here. They can go and do whatever they want. I mean, this horse won on the front end last time, and then it's also sat stalking and won. So they've ran against the 21-3, and they've ran a 21-3 and set the fraction. So I think it's impressive. I think it's it's a solid horse. I don't know what to expect come race day, but we'll see. I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised if I saw this horse win the race overall. The other one that I had here is a 9. This is Eric Foster and Jose Ortiz. That's Pure Panic. A horse that has got me scratching my head because you're seeing some pretty consistent numbers out of them. Tyler's ridden this horse a ton, which I thought was interesting that he wasn't riding this time out. But again, there could just be some established business already had there. But again, this horse is right there. It's in the pack, and it just kind of falters late. It looks like, they just end up knowing that they're beat. But then you look at some of these races where it's like only a half length, 3/4, and running a bang up race in a very similar field, actually a step above what we're running at now. So I think I like what I'm seeing there. These are the type of races where you kind of discredit Jose, and then he comes out firing, and then somehow he's on the front end and he wins the race. So I thought it was an interesting one. I like the workouts. I like everything I'm seeing there. Again, it's a little bit of a head scratcher, but a very consistent horse in a field that you see horses run up and down quite a bit. So I went with 8 with the 7 and 9 underneath.
Yeah, so we both saw the same thing. Like, I don't understand why Tyler's had he had some opportunities here, and he doesn't have any mounts in this race.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
So that was a real head scratch for me. I don't know if he's hoping that Critical Threat's going to draw in from the also eligible for Fracconi. I don't possibly, unless he's got his chips on there, or there was just a few that I think he definitely could have got the mount on had he really pressed. But we'll see. If the 13 gets in there, I'll definitely use Critical Threat on the ticket. But without, kind of a head scratcher why Jose's riding on that horse that you just mentioned, the 9. So interesting. I just came across the same deduction as you did. I had to look back again just to make sure that Gaffleone didn't have a
yeah. If Tyler was riding on a horse in that race, it'd probably be my top pick, just seeing how much success and how many times he's ridden that horse. But but yeah, no, I don't know.
Something to watch for. Yeah, something to watch for if he gets in the also eligibles, which can happen. 10th race, a mile and an eighth. It's an allowance race, $35,000, purse of $200,000 for 3-year-olds and upwards, which have started for a claiming price $35,000 or less. Tough race. This is probably the toughest race of the day, and it should be, right? It's a feature. It's supposed to be the feature race, one before last. I'm going to go with Hurry. This one I'm going to take Jose Ortiz for Matthew Sims. Hurry. Last time out, a mile and an eighth, 149-4, won that race by a neck. That was with Saez on board. That setup was all about speed on the front end, sitting off, and then just closing late. I don't think he's going to be able to make up that much ground. He's going to have to be a little closer for this horse. I think he could save a little more ground for the 4-hole than the outside post that he was out last time in the 9-hole and sitting way off. So hopefully not as far back, but still going to be making a late move. I do like the 4, just based off that time. Should do well as long as Jose can find the trip. I do like the 3, Money Supply, Tyler Gaffleone, Joe Sharp, really strong connection. Those last 3 on the turf, take them off. Look at the body of work from January to May, and the rest of these grade 2s and grade 3s that it's been running and still being competitive. I'm glad that it's back on dirt. They're moving this horse back to dirt. 5 furlongs in a minute flat for the workout on November 9th. Definitely want to have the 3. 3 is going to be definitely a strong contender. Tough race, 4 and the 3. Outside of that, taking a couple shots here on the 8, Bourbon Day, not a big stretch here, but another one, once taken off the turf, ran really well last time out, an optional claiming $50,000. This is a little bit of a jump up. We're in a $35,000 allowance, a little more competitive race, but I think shifting off from the turf and having that actually go to the dirt on a sloppy track really ran really well. If the conditions still stay the same, I'd say we're looking at a decent price probably underneath with the 8 Bourbon Day. That's the Florent Giroux and Brad Cox connection and a 98 speed figure last time out. And last but not least, I'm going to go with the 11 Surface to Air. Fernando Yara, there's another one that if you take out the turf race, been running really, really consistent. Not a great run in the Monmouth Cup in the grade 3. 3 back on July 20th. But last time out at Keeneland, I'm out on the 16th, one that went pretty easy. It was an option claiming 80,000, has run allowance before and just broke its maiden back on April 25th, and a workout of 46 flat last time out, November 12th. So horse is in really good condition, hoping that we get a price. Maybe it stays 8 to 10 to 1 on that 11. But I'm going with what makes sense on the inside, that 4-3 combo. And I think the 11 and the 8, maybe add some prices here for a nice try.
Yeah, I've got the 3. I've got Money Supply on top here in this one. I think it's the best horse by far. Obviously this horse, if you look at the form, has not done what they expected, especially when they went up to the grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 type races, right? I mean, they got the job done in the mine shaft, but after that, they just were not there, and I think I've actually torn up a couple tickets because of this horse when they've gotten in these higher, graded races. And now you're taking a significant drop all the way back down into an allowance 35K. And if you look at when this horse was running in allowance races, that's when it did its best work. That's the field that it should probably been riding in its entire career. They had very big aspirations for it, but it just didn't pan out. And when you're running against, I've made the analysis or the comparison before. When you're running against grade 1 runners, it doesn't matter if you come in last, you're still running against grade 1 winners and horses and caliber horses. When you drop down to an allowance, you're not running against those type of horses. It's like playing in the majors for 6 months, dropping back down to the minors. You're going to play a lot better just because of the step up. So I think that goes for horses too. And I think this horse is going to be miles above the rest of the competition, but I guess we'll see on Saturday. The other horse that I had underneath here is the 10. I really like Walaka. Just the combination of Kelsey Danner and Adam Beschizza is one that you have to note, especially at the off tracks. Obviously here at Churchill, I don't know how much success they've had. I know they've won a couple races together. But if you look at this horse's track record, the last 5 races, they've won 3 of them. And at this distance, at this level, I think everything you're seeing there is pretty impressive. There's something when they team up that Adam just runs lights out as well. As you can see, he's ridden this horse a ton of times, and he made this race competitive each single time that he's ridden. So I like the 10 a lot for everything there. The 8 Bourbon Day is going to be very tough. Obviously, Brad Cox, Florent Giroux rode their best race that they've ridden, to date. In the last time out, right, 1 by 7 furlongs, but that was Flavien Prat aboard. It was not Florent. Now you're getting the combination back together, which you've heard me say 1,000 times. When this combination is together, it's just as dangerous. So Bourbon Day is going to be very difficult to beat as well. I think those are your top 3 hitters, on my ticket. I think you could probably throw in a few more prices in there if you want. It's kind of a wide open race, but outside the 3, I think, the second place money is going to be anyone at this point.
Yeah, another one I really liked and threw out the ticket underneath was the 10. I think morning line is 30 to 1 for that time.
10.
Yeah, 30 to 1 on the morning line. That's not what's deterring me because I don't go by odds. Just Biscuits has been running really good with this horse and really runs well for Kelsey Danner when they do team up. Just missing those opportunities to win, but hits the board consistently. So underneath, it tends a smart play, especially at that price. If you're looking at the kind of chalk you're looking at, probably seeing on the 3.
I've got this theory too. So anytime, I think Money Supply is going to get that way down, right? I think it's going to be very, very, very low. And anytime, I'd say I would even say 80% of the time, whenever I watch races and I see a very, very heavily bet favorite win, the next 2 horses underneath are bombs.
Yeah. 4 to 5.
Yeah,
30 to 1, 28 to 1.
You get a $30 try on a race that you're thinking, if it goes favorite, co-favorite, lukewarm favorite, I'm looking at $6, $4, yeah. But then every time it's just like clockwork, it's just like boom, boom, bomb, bomb, and next thing you know, that's what you're making your money on. So I hope he does get bet down. I hope he is the best horse because then that just means I've got better odds for Kelsey and Adam to hit the board. Yeah, I mean that's my theory. I could be crazy, but I agree. Single weekend. Yeah.
I agree. I've seen more tries that pay out 40, 50. I've won tries just like that with favorite on top. And even if you're getting a 15 and a 20 to 1 underneath or a 25 and a 10 to 1, still paying well over what you'd expect when you're getting the chalk on top.
Right.
And that's if the second choice and third choice don't hit the board, and it happens a lot more often than you think, or at least even in the exotics, just the exacta. Sometimes you get for the chalk, then you get a bomb, and then you get second or third choice for third. Doesn't help on the try, but it does help on the exacta. So, yeah, maybe it's just the tracks I'm watching. Seems to be more that way.
Could be
pretty close. Let's get into this last race, the 11th race, mile and 16th on the turf. It's an allowance 25,000, purse of 175,000 for 3-year-olds and upwards, which are started for a claiming price of 25,000 or less. None of these races made sense until the last two, where I could start to pick and choose. It got a little easier as it went. I'm going to take the 8 in this one, Sugoi. It's going to be your odds-on favorite, probably. You're dropping in class here, coming off the Sycamore and the Arlington Million last two races. Still poorly placed in both of those races, but a little bit outclassed in both of them. Speed figures were decent, 103 last time out. That is its career best speed figure, although it did come in 5th in that race with Florent Giroux. Ortiz getting the mount here, Jose for Mike Maker. Again, this is another combination that, at least as far as Churchill's concerned, when they team up, they're hitting the board. They're just not winning these big races. I think the class drop alone and just the recent form puts this horse above the rest. So I'm definitely going to have the 8. I like the 6, probably your second choice here. Harrow. This is Gaffleone and Saffy Jr. When they team up a lot, you get a lot of these horses that ship up from Tampa and Gulfstream Park that Tyler gets the opportunities for. And it's going to be the same thing here. Last time out, Kentucky Downs, pretty much an easy winner. And now coming over to Churchill. So, again, one that should be there. Distance looks good. Horses in really good form. I really like the works as well. Those are the top 2, and they should be the top 2. But you got to look for some value somewhere. And if I'm going to play any horizontals, which is possible, I want to have a couple prices in here besides the 2 chalks. So I'd take the 2 Devil's Harvest. Horses never worse than third. Now, albeit it's been over in, Evangeline, Monmouth, Charlestown, and then Keeneland last time out, where it won allowance 110,000 condition race on the turf at a mile. And you got Samuel Bermudez again in the mount here. So getting it second time out with the same jockey. The horse ran really well last time. Never worse than third ever in its career. 4th one time. If you go 6 back, it was 4th halfway through the race, but never knows what it's like to be in the back of the pack. So they're going to be 4th placed, and I think should hit the board. And I think I like the 10 also as my last piece to get in there. The 10 is Journeyman. This one makes a lot of sense also. Should be a stalking trip on a horse that has run some longer distance races. Optional claiming 40,000 and 80,000. So a little bit of I wouldn't say a step up, but going to an allowance race, protect the horse. Definitely likes the turf. Breeding Breeding says it likes it. The horse has been running on turf pretty much predominantly for its whole campaign here for 7 and 8-year-olds. So makes a lot of sense. So Christian Torres and Michael Wright. So I gave you 3 chalks and I gave you 1 price, but this just kind of race just kind of looks like it sets up that way. 8, 6, 10, and 2 as your price horse to end it all.
I am on the 6, and I think it's one of my opinion, the better bets of the day. Saffy's got some really good, interesting stats when it comes to this type of move. You'll see on the form that Saffy Joseph is 75% when he drops in class off of a win. I think that's a crazy statistic to lay out there. Also just tells you that he's winning at an extremely high clip when he does this, and it's for a reason. And that's what you're seeing here, right? The horse ran 1.5 miles, won by a length and a quarter. Now you're dropping down to 1 mile and 16th, and you're dropping down in class. So I think it's, again, very interesting when he does this, and I think that you're going to see some pretty good some good things coming out of this barn come Saturday. So I like the 6 here. That's my top pick. I think that the 1 is extremely interesting to the inside. If you look at the horses, Vince, it's your boy. I'm surprised you didn't take him on top.
When I dropped off, obviously you're talking about it because I didn't take it.
I was just looking from a pace perspective, right? I think that these guys, they'll sit off, they'll sit stalking, and have enough turn of foot to get there. They're putting up good speed, speed numbers here, and decent fractions in each race. You're getting, again, Vincent Chemino, who, again, last week, I think it was last weekend as well, I think he had a pretty big win for the barn. The horse coming off of a layoff, I'd like to see one probably here in this field, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the mix, especially late in the race. But again, going to be sitting stalking, and going to be a horse to keep an eye on there for, the late money. And then obviously it makes the most sense, the horse that you picked, right, the 8, Segoy, Mike Maker, and Jose Ortiz. I mean, this horse makes a ton of sense. Triple-digit speed figures. It's ridden in the Arlington Millions. Did not lose by much. Obviously 5 lengths, albeit, but was right there, led the entire race until the stretch. So everybody just kind of looks like he just ran out of gas. But when this horse is stalking, or near the front, that's where they do their best work. So I wouldn't see a change in tactics here. You're going to see this horse go out there. Yeah. You're shortening up, so it means you can go faster for longer. It makes a lot of sense here. And again, dropping in class is very, very important, especially when you're running the highest speed figures in the group. So I think this horse, again, makes the most sense, on paper. But, I'm just going to take a little bit of a bigger price with Tyler. Not much bigger, but bigger, and then roll the dice there in the last race.
Yeah, going back to Segoy, dropping out from running at 1.5 miles and 1.25 miles, and now you're getting the 1 16th. Those last 2 races probably would have been a lot more competitive, probably definitely better figures. Had they've only been 1 16th race, probably would have actually possibly won the Arlington Million, but makes a lot of sense. Safi and Tyler on these races just seem to be the go-to. Makes all the sense in the world. So we're pretty close here in the 8 and the 6. And of course, I took that one off. That was one I was looking at and had to peel back. So glad you took that one. That's your pick 5 for Saturday. And any locks? You think that race before was the lock for you, right? The 10th race.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
that's when both. You felt the best with the 3.
Yeah, I like both, but that 3 is going to be very difficult to beat.
So. Money supply.
Yeah. I didn't feel like super great about any of the races this weekend. I thought they were all very tough to handicap. Yeah. Just because there's not a glaring standout, horse in each race that you have to go and catch, so.
Well, if it goes global sensation and the 8 and then the 3, we're really setting up for a really chalky pick 5. So I think you're going to get your prices early in that leg, probably in that first leg, probably you have to go pretty deep. And then maybe you could slim back. But that's pick 5 for Saturday. Moving forward, like we got this is kind of the lull, right? After the Breeders' Cup. Yeah. Until we get into championship meet at Gulfstream. So we'll keep trying to find winners and see what we can put together over the course of the next couple of weeks. I think we'll have to do a couple of interviews too over the next weeks.
We'll have to get back on the interview train.
Add some filler on the interviews here. And I really want to just to all the listeners, all the followers, really want to thank everybody that's reached out, sent us some emails or commented on our posts on the YouTube, right? So we're like 5, or this will be our 5th or 6th episode that we're putting on the YouTube channel. Just got to get the subscriber numbers up there, get people to shift over that we're listening on the audio side, start coming over to the video side. So if you're listening and you're listening to the podcast, go over to the YouTube channel, watch it live, see our ugly mugs on the screen. And in the future, we'll get some good interviews here. We'll start getting rolling back. This is usually when we do it too, right? Off season, we get a lot more interviews and a lot more jocks and trainers coming on. So hopefully we can circle back, start doing that again before the season kicks off again in January over the holidays. But I really want to thank everybody for commenting and listening along and being a part of what we do every week. We enjoy doing it, want to keep doing it. So hopefully we, keep the train moving, they say. Or I say. Anything else, kid?
Nope. That's all for me.
Any NFL props this week? By the way, your Josh Allen over half interception now. It's like 3 weeks. It's happened now.
I know.
It's 3 weeks in a row.
Told you he was due. Maybe I don't want to get too fancy. I was going to say maybe a fumble, but you could probably see a fumble this weekend.
A fumble from Josh Allen?
Josh Allen, yeah.
Why are you just targeting the Bills quarterback? Why is
I don't like Josh Allen.
Okay.
I'm going to be honest. But
I can tell.
if I'm going to place anything, I feel like a Kyle Pitts touchdown is in the workings for this week.
It's 2, right? And they're playing Denver.
Yeah.
They are playing Denver this week. I can see that being logical. I thought he would get more looks. He started to, and then I don't feel like he's getting all the play.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I like Swift, DeAndre Swift. Mm-hmm. I like over on pretty much everything he's got because the Packers have historically one of the worst rush defenses in the league. And either that or I was thinking to get really cheeky and Khalil Herbert touchdown instead of a Swift touchdown.
Oh.
Goal line, punch in, probably crazy odds.
Feed the workhorse and then get to the goal line and give it to the other guy.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking a Khalil Herbert punch in touchdown might be the way to go there. for a sprinkle, sprinkle on some action. But
yeah. I think I like
half a unit.
I like Cincinnati this week. I like Burrow over any yardage this week. I mean, that last game, just unbelievable. I think he's just going to follow it up. I think that team's like turning a corner, and you're just going to see high passing yardage, big receiving yardage for Cincinnati moving forward. I think that's a good play.
As long as the pass rush holds up.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they're not going to win every game, but they're definitely going to be putting up points. So I like the overs in these Cincinnati games. The defense is still shit, though.
Yeah,
I don't think their defense is any good. Yeah. But that's about it. I didn't really have much on the plays. I did like Darnell Mooney. So as long as we're on the Atlanta game, I think.
Darnell Mooney?
Darnell Mooney getting a touchdown, I think, would be legit, too. Maybe just take every player offensively, possibly get a touchdown against Denver. The defense is supposed to be good. It's on the road. We'll see. But those are the plays for the week. Other than that, there's your pick 5. There's your NFL plays for the week. Until next week, see ya.